This is my wine cooler. It is a 12 bottle wine cooler and it doesn't work anymore. So it's just sitting there collecting dust. I made it a mission to try to figure out what's wrong with it and try to fix it. I plugged it in and nothing works. The fans don't run, it doesn't cool, even the internal light doesn't turn on. So obviously something in the back doesn't work. So I opened it up and looked at what was in the back. What was in the back was this card right here. Now, I'm not a technical guy. I don't know much about electronics, but something here didn't work. So I actually took it out and gave it to my friend who is actually very good with electronics to try to debug it and try to figure out what was going on. But, you know, there were a few parts that he saw that were burnt out, so he replaced them. I plugged it back and it still didn't work. So essentially, it is now just a box that holds wine bottles. So I looked on YouTube for some videos on how to fix this card or try to find a replacement card, because I'm not sure what this does exactly. So I searched and I searched and I just couldn't find anything. Eventually I found some videos talking about Peltier devices and how they cool. So I figured out how this box works and, you know, just grabbing some information here and there. And so I figured out that this thing is pretty much gone. I can't use it, so I need to replace it with other things. But with what? Again, I'm not knowledgeable in these things. What I did find were many videos of people building homemade coolers using Peltier devices, but they did that, you know, with a battery. And I don't want to use a battery for this thing. And then I found another video where the guy had actually something exactly like this. And he spoke to us as if we understood what he was saying. He was not talking to people that are novices and didn't know exactly. So when people ask questions in the comments, he would reply with, look it up in eBay or look at it at AliExpress. But exactly what are we looking for? It wasn't clear unless you knew what he was talking about. So I did more and more research, and finally it clicked what he had, because we had an image of the back of his wine cooler, and this is what he had. He had one of these things. This is what they call a power supply. And in the video, he mentioned that he installed a 110 volt, it's a 12 volt, 10 amp power supply. So once I got that, I understood this, that's what I did. I got this from Amazon. So here it says output is 12 volt, 10 amp. So I've never done this, so I'll be doing this with you. And well, let's have fun together. All right, let's do this. So the first thing to do is hook up power to this thing. Now I have my power cable from the wine cooler that I have right here that I will hook up, and hopefully this thing will turn on. There's an LED light that should turn green, and then we'll measure the voltages on the outputs, and it should show 12 volts. So if we look at this here, I don't know if you can see this properly. There's line, neutral, and ground. So I'll hook up the line, neutral, and ground from the wire to this. I'll be right back. Okay, so now it's all hooked up. So we've got the line, the neutral, and the ground. The black is the line, the white is the neutral, the green is the ground. And I'll plug it in right now into the wall. Oh, and the green LED light is on, so there's power coming to this. No funny smells, so this is good. So if I look here, so the first two here are V negative and the next two are V positive. So black is on negative, red is on negative, and we'll measure, and here we should see 12 volts. 12.04, 12.04, 12.04, oops, sorry here, 12.04. Okay, so I think this is a success. So next, what's next? Well, I've got power, but I'm not 100% sure that the Peltier device or the fans work. So the next step for me, I think, is to hook up the fans and the Peltier device to the power here and see if it works. So I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so this is the back of the unit. So I cut all these wires from the board. These were all hooked up to the board that I showed earlier. So these two wires are for this fan right here in the back. These two are for the fans that are inside, and these two are for the Peltier device itself. So I think what I'll do is I'll just hook up this fan and see if it runs. That'll give me some confidence, and then we'll hook up the rest right after that. So I plugged in the black wire to the negative. I plugged in the red wire to the positive. And so what's next is I'll plug in the power supply, and if the fan works, it should start spinning. So let's check it out. Ah, success. Watch it go. So the way this thing actually seems to be working is it's blowing air into the heatsink, and then the heatsink forces the air out through the sides. So I can actually feel air flowing out from the sides, which is really cool. All right, this is great. So I think I'll jump straight in and plug in the whole thing into this thing. So in order to test whether the Peltier device was defective or not, I hooked up the Peltier device with both fans to the new power supply. Here it is, here's the connections. So I've got the power going to the power supply and 12 volts coming out. And I will proceed to plug that in right here, right there, and the fan is now spinning. So that tells me that it's working, and of course the green LED light is on. This is the other side. If we look inside here, the fan, it is spinning, which is great. I will also show you here, I put a thermometer in there to see the temperature. So the temperature is currently 20 degrees. So I will close the door and let it run for a few minutes. And if the Peltier device is running and working, then this temperature should start going down. So I'll let it run for a few minutes and I'll get back to you in a bit. Okay, we've been running for about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and we can see here, I'll open the door, that the temperature has dropped down to 17 degrees. So this is more than any variance that could happen. It's definitely getting cooler. I can feel the cooler air coming out. I haven't let it cool down that much, but this is great news. That means it works. So if I were to hook it up and screw on the power supply to the back of this unit, then it would just cool. But that's a problem because I don't want it to cool constantly, because this would run 24/7 and would get pretty cold. I wanted to control the temperature, so obviously we have to add a thermostat. So in many of the videos where you have DIY coolers using a battery, they also install thermostats. So this essentially is just a glorified styrofoam box. And the power supply is a glorified battery. So from then on, anything that you can see in videos with a DIY coolers is exactly the same. So I'll show you the thermostat that I got. So this is the thermostat that I got. It's a basic thermostat that comes with a probe for the temperature. So I guess what I'll have to do is drill a hole in the back and feed this through so it takes the inside temperature. So you can set your target temperature and it displays the current temperature. And when the current temperature meets or is lower than the set temperature, then the power gets cut off from the Peltier device, and so there's no more power, and so it will stop cooling. And once the temperature goes above the desired temperature, then it will kick back on and then start cooling again. So let's see how this thing works. I'll just plug this into the power supply. So I'll unplug everything that I've done so far, and I'll just plug in this just to see it in action. Okay, so I hooked it up. So here we see here plus minus. So I plugged it in, plus minus. The probe is plugged in, and so I will plug the power supply, see what happens. All right, something went turned on. All right, so here you go. This is the current temperature, and this is the set temperature. And according to the instructions, when this light is on, it means that the circuit is continuous. So that the circuit is closed. So that means if I were to hook up some power here, it would power the Peltier device. And if I were to increase the temperature, you can see that the probe works. See, when I heat it up, temperature goes up, let it go, and the temperature should come back down eventually. I'm not very proficient with this. I haven't played around much with this, but here it is. So now I need to figure out how to combine everything. There's a website that I found that has a guy that shows the instructions how to make one of those DIY coolers, and he has a little wiring diagram in there. So I'll follow that. I'll put the link in the description below, and I'll come back with that all wired up. Thank you. So what I've done is I've run the positive here, and then I loop it to this end. The negative will go here. I've tied all the reds together and the blacks together, so the reds will go here, so that when the temperature goes below the set temperature, the circuit will close, causing the electricity to go through, and this will be plugged. I could plug it here, but I don't like it. It's too tight, so I'm going to plug it straight into the power supply. So I'll do that right now. Okay, we'll see what happens. Okay, so the current term temperature is lower than the set temperature, so it won't turn on. So let's heat it up. See if this goes up. There you go. The fan started. So now it's cooling. And if I let it go, temperature should go back down. And when it's down, it should turn off. So let's see if that happens. There you go. It clicked, temperature's lower, and the fan stops. So this works wonderfully. Now, the wiring's a mess. This was just a test. I have to figure out something. First, I'm gonna mount the power supply here probably. I got these crimp connectors also with the built-in shrink wrap or heat shrink. And so I'll figure something out. I've already have some here. So I put these connectors. I put some crimped connectors here to make it safer. I'll figure something out here after. I'll let you know what I did. But now I've proven that it works. So I just need to make it clean. And in order to do that, I need to figure out where to mount the and how to mount the power supply. Probably mount it here. So I'll think of something and then I'll show you what I did. So I decided to screw in the power supply at the top here, and the power cable is not fished, but just passed around and down here where it used to go out. So next I will try to figure out how I want to plug the bunch of red wires and the bunch of black wires to the switch. The switch will probably end up somewhere like this, here, in this vicinity. Oops, I don't know if you can see this. There you go. In this vicinity right here. So I'll try to figure out something more permanent, and I'll be right back. So I decided to tape these bunches, I guess the blacks and the reds. It's just easier to manipulate, so you might want to do that. So I will then, I think I'll plug these straight into the switch, so the black and the red and the empty one, and give it another try. Okay, so this is what I did. So I took this bunch of black and I created a connector to a single wire. So these three connect to a single wire, and I did the same with the reds. These three reds connect to a single red. So now I just need to fit a single red and a single black into this switch, which is much easier to do. I don't know if that's legit, but that's what I did. And then the power then goes into the power supply. So theoretically, that's the final hookups. The last thing to do is to feed this probe into the fridge, into the wine cooler. But for now, this will be it. So I will now plug it in and hopefully it doesn't explode. Let's give it a shot. So my power cable was too short, so I had to move the wine cooler to the floor. So here we go. I'll plug it in now. Okay, so this is working. You can see again that the set temperature is higher than the room temperature. So if I heat it up now, if I put my hand to heat it up, turns on, let it go. And it turns off. Beautiful. All right. So I think I'm gonna put proper terminals here to the power supply, and then I'll feed the probe into the wine cooler. I'll see you soon. So here's what it looks like now. I've added the terminals here. I've even added like there's a light bulb inside, so I hooked up the light bulb directly. So that's what it's looks like. So I just need to put this through. So I'm thinking of maybe drilling a hole where the wires are coming out, and put it at an angle so it goes into the the refrigeration area rather than through the top, because I don't know how to fish that through. So I'll just punch a hole or drill a hole through, and the other guy in one of those videos used hot glue to glue the probe, so I'll probably do that too, or maybe use black electrical tape just to not make it so permanent, and I'll try that out. Okay, so I apologize for the shaky cam, but as you can see, I drilled a hole at the top and I passed the probe through, and I well, taped it with black electrical tape to the top. All right, I'll show you on the other side. So here you can see the probe. I drilled a hole. There it is. So I'll probably tape that up as well just to cover the hole. And that's it. I'll do that, and then I'll let it run. Okay, so as you can see, temperature here is at 21 degrees. So shut the door. I'll plug it in. Okay, so put the set temperature to, sorry. All right, I'll bring that down to 16 degrees. It, as you can see, turned on. All right, and we'll let it run and see if the current temperature goes down. Okay, come back soon. There you have it. It reached 16 degrees, the desired set temperature, and it turns off. So I think this is a great success. Hope this was helpful. This is my first video ever, so please be nice. The editing might be rough, but there you go. Any comments? Let me know. Thanks, guys and girls. Bye. It is now 15 degrees in there, so I think we can call this a success.